MS in Supply Chain Management and the MS in Management Science programs here at UT Dallas. If I have not gotten the chance to email with you or interact with you yet, my name is John Fierst, and I am the program director for both of these master's degrees. They are both housed in the Operations Management area of the Jindal School of Management here at UT Dallas. So I'm very excited to talk with you all this morning about all of the cool things that we have going on in our programs here at UTD. I'll be switching back and forth a little bit between both of the programs throughout today's session. But generally speaking, we'll be covering academics, the admission process, careers and internships, and then all of the student resources and opportunities that our students get in the programs. So if you have questions along the way, you're welcome to drop those in the chat and I will try to respond to them as we go. But I will stick around at the end as long as I need to answer your questions and chat with you and make sure that you have all the information that you need. So if you have like a more than just a quick question, feel free to just save that for the end and I will answer that at the end once we get through the slides here. Okay, so let's just dive right in here and we'll start off with supply chain. Why would you want to get into supply chain at this point in time? Well, as we saw coming out of the pandemic, companies have placed more and more emphasis on their global operations and making sure that their supply chains are resilient. And we're seeing that now show up through supply chain salaries, which have just recently topped $100,000 now for the first time. As you can see from the screenshot there from the Supply Chain Management Review article that came out earlier this year. There was also a study done by Allied Market Research last year that showed that the global supply chain management market was expected to reach over $75 billion by 2032, which is a pretty fast growth rate from where we are right now. So that supply chain industry is contributing a lot to the US economy, and there's a lot of opportunities now for folks to enter the supply chain management market or to use the MS degree to move up in their supply chain role that they may have currently. Now, for folks interested in management science, this is a little bit more general management degree. And so I wanted to point out this NACE salary survey, and NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And they do this twice annual salary survey, and they found at the end of 2023 that students with a master's degree in business can expect to earn roughly $80,000 on average. And that is pretty much in line with what we see our management science folks coming out with. And we'll talk about this in the next section, but management science is very customizable and it can really be customized to whatever you want to make the degree, and it can really help you stand out in whatever way that you choose. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but I wanted to point out this salary survey as kind of a good benchmark for where our management science folks end up. Now, I know we have a number of students on the call. You may be thinking about what is your next step in graduate management education? Is it a Master of Science degree, an MS degree, or is it an MBA? So I wanted to take a quick moment to point out some of the differences between an MS degree and an MBA. So both of our MS degree programs here are STEM designated, which for international students, this means that you get that 3 years of optional practical training work authorization upon graduation. And really what it means for everybody is that there are employer recognized analytical and technical skills built into this program. We have more of a focus on that analytical and technical realm within the MS degree. And that can really help you stand out in the job market and give you some very tangible skills to put on your resume. The MS degrees are also 36 credit hours, which is 12 classes, as opposed to 53 credit hours for the MBA. And so usually students can get through an MS degree a little bit faster and for a little bit less tuition dollars than they would maybe spend on an MBA. The MBA, I also learned this last year, is the most commonly awarded master's degree in the US. So that's where those MS degrees can really help you stand out because you're getting a depth of knowledge in one specific functional area of business. And both of our degrees require an internship or capstone as part of the degree program. And you'll hear me say this throughout today's presentation multiple times, but we are very experience focused in the Jindal School. We understand that the secret to success is having both a graduate degree and relevant experience on your resume. So we want to make sure that all of our students, when they cross the graduation stage, have relevant experience on their resume. And that is why we require all of our students to do an internship or a capstone as part of their degree. because we want you to get that experience. We know that that is what helps you. And finally, unemployment continues to be very low in the US, and Dallas's local unemployment is actually even lower than the national average. The screenshot you see here on the slide is from our Economic Development Office. They provide some kind of local labor market updates a couple of times a year. And so they've continued to throw out some data to us that show that the Dallas area continues to have really favorable employment conditions. So if you're coming here to Dallas, relocating here to Dallas, it's a great place to be. Okay, one of the other questions that we get asked a lot are what are our outcomes? What are our students graduating with? So the top two tables on this slide are our employment and internship salary and wage data for the supply chain program. And the bottom two tables are for the management science program. So for our supply chain graduates, you can see there 2021 into 2022, we saw a big jump in salary. Coming out of the pandemic, those supply chain salaries definitely went up. And they've stayed pretty consistent now over the past couple of years, hovering right around $90,000, give or take a few grand. Excuse me, our interns in the supply chain program have continued to pull great wages in the mid 20s per hour over the past couple of years, and that's stayed pretty stable. For our management science program, this is a lot smaller program. So the average salary has tended to wobble around a little bit more, depending upon what the students in that graduating cohort have kind of done with their degree and where they want to go with it. But it's definitely stayed right around that $80,000 mark or higher for most of the past few years now. And our management science students have also managed to cap their highest hourly wage in internships. So for our management science students doing paid internships, they've topped out now at $25 an hour. That's the highest it's been for our management science students. So that's also been fantastic for them. I also want to mention our supply chain rankings. So if you're not aware, Gartner does a supply chain management programs ranking every other year. And we put a lot of stake in the Gartner rankings because Gartner is a supply chain consulting firm. That is kind of what they do all day, every day. And unlike US News and QS and some of the other rankings entities out there that rank everything under the sun, Gartner just focuses on supply chain. So that's why we put a lot of stock in their rankings. And we are super proud to announce that this year we have maintained our position in the top 5 graduate programs nationally. We are right there at number 4. I know that pyramid, the text is really small. It's very difficult to see, but we are number 4 in the graduate program rankings by Gartner in North America. So we're really, really proud about this. We're really glad to see that Gartner ranked us in the top 5. And it goes to show that our students coming out of the program are getting a nationally recognized education that is very much respected by industry and by our peers. So just know that when you're coming into our program, you're getting a really top quality education here at UTD. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the academics of the programs and what you'll actually be doing in the classroom. So I'll start off here with our supply chain program. This program is offered both on campus and online. And for our online courses, our classes are delivered in a self-paced, flexible format. We have started to introduce a few online synchronous courses, which are courses that are delivered online, but have a day and time where you actually log in on your laptop and do a live class meeting with the instructor. Not every class has that format, but we do have some of that starting to come online for our students in the program. We allow our students to mix and match course modalities. So if you want to do a semester fully online, you can do that. And then if you want to come to campus and do a semester fully on campus, you can do that. If you want half your classes in person, half online, you can do that. We are extremely flexible. Whatever works best for you, you do that. We are a 36 credit hour STEM degree program, like I mentioned earlier. Half of those credits are core courses that all of our students are required to take. And the other half of the degree are electives that you choose. We also have a dual degree option available with our MBA. And if you do the dual degree, you heard me say earlier, the MS degree is 36 credits, the MBA is 53 credits. When you're a dual degree student, you are not doing 89 credits. That is almost an entire bachelor's degree. When you're in the dual degree program, you're actually just doing 63. So there's a lot of credit savings when you decide to do a dual degree, because a lot of classes will double count between both the MS and the MBA degree. So that's one of the advantages of doing the dual degree, and certainly for our international students who may want that STEM designated degree when they graduate. But also really want the MBA, doing that dual degree is a great way to get both of them together, because the MBA is not STEM designated, but the MS degree is. So combining them together kind of gives you the best of both worlds if you're an international student looking for the STEM designation, but also wanting to have an MBA under your belt as well. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but we have a very large selection of elective offerings here in the Jindal School. One of the advantages of being in a larger business school is that we're able to afford our students a lot of choice in how they go about customizing their degree. And I'll dive into that a little bit more in just a second. I know we also have a number of engineers in the program. Engineering is some of our more popular undergraduate majors for students to enter the supply chain degree with. And I know sometimes people are thinking, should I do an industrial engineering degree? Should I do supply chain? If you have that engineering background, that may have been a thought that has passed your mind. So if you're thinking about that, I wanted to mention that our supply chain degree is more focused on application, data, managerial skills, and strategy than industrial engineering is. So if those things speak to you a little bit more, then the supply chain program probably makes sense for you. If you're looking for something that is a little more foundational in engineering or rooted in engineering, then an industrial engineering degree may make more sense for you if that's where your interests lie. But because our focus is more on application, data, managerial skills, and strategy, we are able to accept applications from students with any undergraduate major. So you do not have to have an engineering degree or a STEM degree to come into the supply chain program. We have students in the program with social sciences degrees, degrees in commerce, business administration, humanities, like English and art. It is possible to go into supply chain with one of those undergraduate degrees as your bachelor's degree. We were able to accept applications from any undergraduate major. For our full-time students, you can complete this degree in 18 to 24 months if you're enrolled full-time. If you come into the program part-time, you might decide to take longer if you're taking 1 or 2 classes per semester, maybe 2.5, 3 years. As long as you complete the degree within a 6-year window of time, you're good. Most people don't need that long, but I understand life happens sometimes and maybe you need to take a semester off. Not a big deal. As long as the degree requirements are met within that 6-year window, then you're good to go if you're a part-time student. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we have that required internship or capstone as part of your degree as well. Okay, so what are those courses? The core courses are here on the left side of the screen. And all of our students in their first semester typically take our statistics and operations management course first. Then we have 2 globally focused supply chain classes. Those are typically taken in the second semester. And then finally, we have a purchasing, sourcing, contract management course, and then you choose either accounting or finance. Those classes can be taken at whatever point in the degree you want to take them. And the last bullet point you see there in that box is our MAS 6102 professional development class. And this is a 1 credit hour course that all of our first semester MS students are enrolled into. And this is part of our secret sauce here in the Jindal School. I mentioned earlier, we are very experience focused. We want to make sure that you are being set up for success from day one. And that is where our professional development class comes into play. It's a 1 credit course in your first semester coordinated by our Career Management Center. And it's actually taught by corporate professionals who have done recruiting on college campuses before. We actually bring them in and have them teach this class. So it's not actually a Career Management Center staff member teaching the class. It's actually somebody who works for a company in recruiting, HR, as a hiring manager, coming in to do that class for our students. And our students have said time and again that class has really made a big difference in their career trajectory. It really helped them set off on the right foot for that internship search, and then eventually for their full-time job search when they get closer to graduation. So this class covers everything from resumes to mock interviews to how to use LinkedIn, how to network, all of those things that you need to be successful professionally will be covered in the MAS 6102 professional development class. Excuse me. So that's part of our secret sauce. We bake that into your first semester just to make sure that you are setting off on the right foot for your professional journey. Now, on the right side of the slide, that's where you see all of our elective course offerings, and I am not going to read all of them because there are a lot there. But like I said earlier, that's one of the advantages of being in a little bit bigger school. We have lots of options for you. You can take the degree in whatever direction you want to go in and whatever direction makes sense for your career goals. Now, in red at the top there, you see the internship and capstone projects courses in red. You can earn credit towards your degree by completing that internship and by completing a capstone. So if you go work for a company one summer, you could earn 3 credit hours towards the 36 you need to graduate by working at that company doing an internship. We encourage that. We want you to do that. And then if you don't land an internship, don't want to do an internship, we'll have you do the capstone projects instead, which is basically a mini internship built into the degree. That's facilitated by one of our professors here in our department who works with local Dallas companies and has students in that class teamed up with them to help them solve a supply chain problem. So it's like a mini internship built into the program. We do have some students who do both. So they'll go off and do an internship, and then they'll come back the following semester. Maybe they don't have an internship in their second year, and they'll take the capstone class as an elective. What that means is potentially 6 of your 36 credit hours could come from experience, right? Working at a company and then also doing a capstone project through the capstone course. We want you to do that. We encourage that. Again, we're very experience focused, and we know that that is what makes the difference for our graduates in the job market. So we encourage it. We want you to do both if you can, but you can absolutely earn up to 3 credit hours through doing an internship at a company. Okay. We also have a few tracks within the degree. So I know you saw a ton of elective options on the last screen. The tracks are ways to kind of help narrow down that list of electives into themes based on perhaps what you may want to do as a supply chain professional. So we have an analytics track, a technology and AI track, which is new. We're very excited about that. A continuous improvement track, and finally a risk and strategy track. Tracks are not anything that you have to declare. They are not printed on your diploma. They are not printed on your transcript. They are simply guided pathways for your electives. So if you love the data and love the analytics, you could choose to take all 4 classes in the analytics track. Our technology and AI track, Internet of Things, is kind of a smart warehousing course. We have obviously a supply chain software with SAP course, SAP being the kind of bread and butter supply chain software out there. And we're introducing a new AI in supply chain class next semester in the spring, which we're very excited about. And finally have a technology and new product development course as well. If data and analytics and technology is not your thing, totally fine. Continuous improvement is a little more focused on project management and efficient operations. And then finally, our risk and strategy courses are focused more on risk and strategy. That trade compliance class you see there at the bottom is actually taught by a lawyer. And he goes through all of the different international trade regulations that go into supply chain. Our students have really loved that class. It's become very popular. And it's a really cool, he's a really cool instructor and a really cool class to take. So whatever your interests are, whatever your strengths are, whatever your career goals are, there's a way to get there by customizing your supply chain degree, either through a track or through taking, a different combination of electives from different tracks. And I see that all the time. Students mix and match courses from different tracks, and that's totally fine. So whatever it is you want to do, totally up to you, totally customizable to get to where you want to go in your supply chain degree. Okay, so moving on to management science now. Just like supply chain, this program is offered both on campus and online, self-paced and flexible courses with a few online synchronous options built in along the way if a student wants to do that. Also a 36 credit hour STEM degree program. This program, though, only has 12 credits of core courses and 24 credit hours of electives, which means that it's very flexible and very, very customizable. We also have a dual degree option with our MBA through the management science program as well. And again, it's 63 credit hours. There's a cost savings there with classes double counting. And this is a particularly good choice for international students who want the STEM designation and the MBA together because this is the most flexible STEM designated degree in the school. For 18 to 24 months to complete if you're full-time. Again, if you're part-time, you can take longer. That's totally fine, just like supply chain works the same way. And of course, we have that required internship or capstone for management science as well. Now, for management science in the core, I like to think of the core here as analytics light. The classes that you take are very much in the analytics realm, but you're not going as in depth as the MS business analytics students are. So we have a statistics class, a spreadsheet modeling course, a business analytics with SAS or R, and then a database foundations class. Those are your 4 core courses, and that is it. All of our first semester students, just like supply chain and all of the rest of our MS degrees in the school, are placed in that MAS 6102 professional development class in their first semester as well. And that is your core. So that it's very flexible, right? It's still analytical in nature, but you're not going into as deep of a dive as the MS Business Analytics students are. Now, on the right side of the slide, your electives in management science can come from anywhere in the school. You're not restricted to a list of electives. You can take any class in the Jindal school, any graduate level course that you want. And so we have students that take, one class from each of the different departments here in our school. We have some that take all of their electives from one area. So, they focus entirely on analytics or they focus entirely on IT management. That's fine. We have students that take electives from 2 areas. Whatever it is that you want to do, it is totally up to you, totally customizable and flexible for what you want to build into your degree as electives. Just like supply chain, you can earn up to 3 credit hours by doing an internship, and you can also earn up to 3 credit hours towards your degree by doing a capstone. And we let management science students take any capstone in the school that they would like. So for example, if you're focusing your degree more on marketing, you can take the marketing department's capstone course. So whatever capstone is going to support your career goals the best, we will let our management science students do that. Now, you're always welcome to consult with me. In both of these degrees, for supply chain and management science, you have a lot of choice. And sometimes people look at that and go, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to pick. I have no idea. It's choice paralysis. Please don't worry. You get a lot of support as you come into the program to make sure that you're choosing the classes that make sense for your career goals. I have conversations one-on-one with students all the time about their schedules and about what classes to take. I am a full-time program director, so it is my full-time job to support students from the time that they apply to the program to the time they graduate. I do not teach. I do not do research. I am here to support students 40 hours a week. That is my full-time job. So just know that you get a ton of support. You're not being left to fend for yourselves to figure out, what am I going to do with this degree? That's where I come in, and I'm there to support you. So please know that you still get a high level of support as you come into the program and kind of helping you choose what's going to make the most sense for you. Finally, I do want to mention internships and micro-credentials. So you've heard me say required internship, required internship, required internship. When do you do that and how does that work? So if you're an international student, you are eligible to do an internship after you've completed 2 long semesters, that's 2 fall spring semesters and 18 credit hours in the program. That's basically the halfway point of the program. Once you've passed that halfway point of the program, then you become eligible to work on CPT, which is curricular practical training, and that allows you to go off to a company, you're authorized to work there to do an internship. If you are a domestic student, of course, you may work at any time, but you cannot actually earn that credit towards your degree until you've also passed that 18 credit hour threshold. So we want to make sure that all of our students have passed the halfway point of the degree, and then at that point, you're eligible to enroll in the internship course. We have a great partnership with ASCM, which is the Association for Supply Chain Management, with the North Texas chapter. Our students are able to take advantage of their prep courses at a steeply discounted rate while they're enrolled here at UTD. So we do have some students that take advantage of that and earn one of their ASCM certifications while they're a student here. We also have many graduate academic certificates available in the Jindal School that you can easily build into your degree for free. What is a graduate academic certificate? It is basically a micro-credential. A master's degree is 36 credits, 12 classes. A certificate is 9 credits or 12 credits, which is three or four classes. If you take all of the courses that are required for one of these graduate academic certificates as electives or required courses for your MS degree, then you can pick up both your master's degree and that certificate at the same time, and there's no additional cost to you to earn that graduate academic certificate. So it's an extra credential that will be awarded to you. I put a few example graduate academic certificates on the slide here. We actually have close to 20 certificates in the school, so there is something for everybody. If you're looking to pick up an extra credential in something along the way to complement your master's degree, you can absolutely do that. And finally, all of our students get free access to LinkedIn Learning. Our students really love this. They're able to go on and kind of sharpen an extra tool in their tool belt by doing some of those free online self-paced courses through LinkedIn Learning. So you do get to take advantage of that as an enrolled UTD student as well. Okay, so let's shift gears now and talk through the admissions process. So everybody applying to your master's degree will start on the main UT Dallas graduate admissions website. And you'll start with these required items. So it's a $50 regular application fee, $75 if you're applying late, and we'll talk deadlines here in just a second. If you're an international student, there will also be a $50 international credential fee added as well. Now, when you apply, we'll ask to see all of your previous degree transcripts and degree certificates. So please upload a transcript from any post-secondary institution that you have ever attended, and unofficial documents are fine. So if you have a scanned PDF copy of your transcript or you download a transcript from your student center, from your undergraduate institution, that is fine. Please apply with the unofficial copies of those things. Then after someone is admitted, then UTD will say, congratulations, you're admitted. Now please send us your official documents. And then you can send the official versions of your transcripts and degree certificates at that time. That takes longer. So we don't want to hold up the admissions process waiting for official documents. Just apply with unofficial copies of your documents. That's totally fine. If you have less than 2 years of work experience, we will need 3 letters of recommendation. But if you've been working for 2 or more years after your bachelor's degree, then just 1 letter of recommendation is all we need. I always tell students, pick recommenders who know you the best, right? It's not about their job title. It's not about their title. It's about who can speak to your strengths, who can speak to your abilities the best, who can provide a good example of, you at your best. That's who you want to write your letter. We do want one of those letters to come from a professional contact. It doesn't have to be a work supervisor necessarily, but just somebody who knows you outside the classroom and can speak to your professional abilities in some way, shape, or form. Of course, professors are totally fine as well who can speak to your academic abilities. That's great. So that's kind of my advice is pick the people that know you the best. We'll also ask for a personal statement. And all of the students or everybody who comes to my information sessions, I encourage them to kind of think about these 3 questions. These are kind of my hints for the personal statement. Number 1, why do you want to pursue this degree? What is it about supply chain management or management science that speaks to you? Why is this the right graduate degree for you? Number 2, why UT Dallas? Why is our program and our school the right fit for you? And then number 3, what are your career goals? Again, we're very experience focused, right? We require an internship and require a capstone. We want to know how can we set you up for success after you graduate? So tell us, what are your career goals? What do you want to do with this degree after you've graduated? So those are the 3 things that I really encourage students to focus on in their essays. If you had something happen in your life that caused a speed bump at some point, maybe your grades took a hit one semester, there's a big gap on your resume, whatever the case may be, right? Life happens. We get it. Use the essay to contextualize that, right? Hey, I had to be a caretaker for my grandma one semester. My grades took a hit that semester. I bounced back the following semester, right? Contextualize what happened. Otherwise, our admissions committee is going to be left to make assumptions about you, and don't leave them to make assumptions, right? Tell us what happened and put your life story in context. So if something like that happened, speed bump along the way, totally fine. Just feel free to use that essay to help shed some light on what was going on in your life at that point in time. And then finally, we'll ask for a copy of your resume. We have a resume template out on our Career Management Center website that is publicly available, freely available to download. You are welcome to use that if you would like to, not required by any means, totally optional. But that resume template on our CMC website is what you'll be using in your professional development class in your first semester. So you kind of get a head start on what you're doing in your first semester. Everybody here in the Jindal School is very familiar with our resume template, and it's very clean and puts everything into context in the right order that we're very familiar with reading through. So again, not required, but if you're looking for a resume template to use as part of your application, you are totally welcome to download that and use that. Okay, I am also going to drop a link here in the chat, and this is our MS admission requirement page. So everything that I just said, you can find on this website. So you should bookmark this link because you'll want to refer back to this as you're going through your application because it outlines all of these required items. So please make sure that you bookmark that before you get started on your application. Okay, so those are the required items. The other side of the coin here are test scores. We are fully GMAT GRE optional. You are not required to submit a GMAT or GRE score. However, you might want to do that in certain circumstances. If you had an undergraduate degree that did not include any quantitative coursework, or if your math grades were not particularly great in your undergraduate degree, then a strong GMAT or GRE score would be very, very good to have. You've heard me say STEM designated throughout today's presentation, and you saw that there is a required statistics class in your first semester. So we and the admissions committee, we need to make sure that you have the quantitative skill set to be successful in the required coursework for these degrees, which are at their core very quantitative and analytical in nature. So we need to see some evidence that you're going to be successful in that graduate level statistics class. We want to make sure that you can take that in your first semester and be okay. So we need some reassurance that you're going to be able to do that. For many undergraduate degrees, there were, calculus, math, statistics classes built into your undergraduate degree, and good grades in those classes, you'll be just fine. You probably don't need a GMAT or GRE score, but maybe your math grades were a little bit on the low side, or you did a degree in English, right? And you never were required to take a statistics class or a calculus class or anything like that. That's where the GMAT or GRE would be very, very beneficial to provide that evidence to the admissions committee that, yes, I have the quantitative chops to do well in this program. Also, if your GPA in general was below about a 3.0, probably a good idea to have a strong GMAT GRE score. We don't have any hard cutoffs in the admission process. We take a very holistic approach to the admissions process. Hence why I said earlier, if you had a speed bump or a stumbling block along the way, put that in your essay so we can read about it and put it into context. So our admissions committee takes a very holistic approach to admission. So there's no hard and fast cutoffs or anything like that. But generally speaking, they like to see a 3.0 or higher cumulative GPA. So if your total cumulative GPA from your undergraduate degree was below 3.0, that's also where a strong test score can help offset that and provides more evidence to our admissions committee that you're capable of being successful in graduate level coursework. If you choose to submit a GMAT GRE, our average admitted score for GMAT is about a 605, and our average admitted GRE score is about a 308. And again, there's a big range there. We have people above and below those test scores, so don't think that, oh, I have to get a 308 or else I won't be admitted. No, it's not like that, right? Very holistic, right? We're looking at all those pieces together. This is just an average admitted score, and we have people above and below those scores who are admitted all the time. If you're an international student, you may need to submit an English proficiency exam score. If you're required to do that, then there are minimum cutoff scores that you do have to meet. So you have to have a minimum 80 on the TOEFL if you take the TOEFL. All of that is outlined on the main UTD graduate admissions website. And if you have to submit an English proficiency exam score, it needs to be less than 2 years old. But you are exempt from needing to submit an English proficiency exam score if You are a citizen of a country where English is considered a first language. That includes India, Nigeria, and Kenya. So if you are a citizen of one of those three countries, you do not need an English proficiency exam score. We get a lot of applicants from those countries, so I wanted to mention them specifically. Or if you did your bachelor's degree through instruction and examination in English, you're also exempt from needing to submit an English proficiency score. So those are two exemptions there. But if those things do not apply to you, then you probably do need an English proficiency exam score if you're an international applicant. Okay, what are those application deadlines? We have 3 intakes per year: fall, spring, and summer. Our fall intake, they begin in mid-August. Our spring intake begins in mid-January, and our summer intake begins at the end of May, early June. Um, Fall is our biggest intake. We had about 60 supply chain students, actually 55, 60 supply chain students come in August, and about 25 management science students come in August. Spring is usually our second biggest intake, and it's usually about half of what fall was. It was 35 supply chain back in January and about 15 management science students in January of 2024. And summer is we admit students for summer. It's a very uncommon time to begin a master's degree. So if you're thinking, oh, I want to start in summer, please consider joining us in fall instead. In the summer, there's very few faculty that are here. Most of our students are gone. They're either at home or doing an internship. We don't offer very many classes in the summer. So it's just not a great time to start your degree. So I always encourage students, if you were admitted for summer, defer that admission to fall. Join us in fall. You'll have a much, much better experience if you join us in fall rather than summer. If you see a priority application deadline out there, please ignore that. That is just for our PhD program. So ignore that. You're just looking at the regular application and documentation deadline there on the right. So if you are coming in for January of 2025, that's our next intake, you should have your application submitted by October 1st. So you still have about a couple of weeks to submit your application for spring if you'd like to join us in January. If you would like to apply for summer, again, I don't encourage it, but it's March 1st, 2025. And if you'd like to join us in fall 2025, that's August of next year, then you have until May 1st of next year to submit your application for fall 2025. Now, if you apply after these deadlines, that's fine. You incur that late fee though, and we will accept late applications from after that regular application deadline all the way up until the week before classes begin. I don't really encourage late applications because it starts to get, especially once we get closer to the start of the semester beginning, it can be very hectic to try to get everything processed and through and get you enrolled into classes, and all of a sudden the semester begins. Especially if you're an international student, I know it takes a long time to get the I-20, go through the visa process, book a flight, find a place to live. All of that takes time, right? So meeting that regular application deadline really helps if you're an international student. If you're here in the Dallas area or you're planning to take your classes fully online, you can probably submit a late application and it's not going to be a big deal. I don't encourage you to push it off, right? Because the closer we get to the semester beginning, the faster classes fill up and it can become a little more cumbersome to build a schedule. But technically you are allowed to apply late, and it's usually okay if you're a domestic student or planning to do all of your classes online. If you're applying without a GMAT or GRE score, please allow just a little bit of additional time for the admissions committee to process your application. When you don't have a test score, we're kind of missing a piece of the pie, right? And so they need more time to go through the rest of your application materials. So just allow them a little bit of additional time if you're submitting without a test score. You see here on the screen, our admissions committee can take up to 4 to 6 weeks to process applications. They've been getting everybody through in closer to 3 weeks. I've not seen it take 4 weeks to process applications. So usually once you get a completed application submitted, you should hear back within about 3 weeks. Okay, and then the last thing here I want to point out is our tuition and fee estimator tool. So to help estimate your costs, how much will this degree cost you? There is a tuition estimator tool on the Bursar's office website that you put in all of the things about you. So you're a graduate student, whether you're a resident of Texas or not a resident of the state of Texas. We are a public institution, so that makes a difference in what rate of tuition that you pay. which term you're coming in for. There are 2 different tuition plans, and the Bursar's office has information on what those plans are and how that impacts your cost. You put in the Jindal School of Management, and then how many credit hours you plan to take for that semester. And then you click submit, and it will spit out an estimate for 1 semester. So if this is a 36 credit hour degree program, if you put 12 credit hours into the tool, then you just multiply that cost by 3. That'll give you a rough estimate of your tuition and fees cost for the whole degree. If you're working on the degree part-time, maybe you want to do 2 classes, that's 6 credit hours, then of course you can multiply that by 6, and that'll get you to 36. That'll give you a rough estimation of what the total degree cost will be. So the estimator tool is really just for 1 semester's tuition and fees, but you can kind of extrapolate that out to get a rough estimate of what the entire degree will cost by getting to 36 credit hours. If you're an international student, you should also pop over to the International Students and Scholars Office website, ISSO. They have your I-20 information. That is the amount of funding that you have to show to UTD to get your I-20, and then of course to move forward with the F1 visa process. So if you're an international student, you should use both ISSO's resources and the UTD tuition estimator tool in tandem to get an estimation of the costs that you need. The tuition estimator tool does not include housing and living costs, but the I-20 information from ISSO does include an estimated cost of living for 1 whole year. So that's why you should use both if you're an international student. And if you have questions about the I-20 process or the visa process, please reach out to our ISSO. They're fantastic. They'll be able to answer any questions that you may have about the I-20 or the visa. Okay, so we've made it to our last section of today's information session, and that is the resources, all the things that our students can take advantage of. So I know we just talked about tuition and fees, so I want to kick off with our scholarships. So we do offer new student scholarships here in the Jindal School, and there are 2 of them that all of our new students may apply for or be considered for. The first one here is the Dean's Excellence Scholarship. That's in orange. And the second one is the Program Excellence Scholarship, and that's in green. The Dean's Excellence Scholarship requires a scholarship application, and it does require a GMAT or GRE score. So you will need to go to the JSOM Graduate Scholarships Office website and click Apply for Grad Scholarship and submit the scholarship application if you would like to be considered for the Dean's Excellence, and that does require a GMAT GRE score. The Program Excellence Scholarship does not require a GMAT GRE score, and all applicants for fall and spring terms are automatically considered for the Program Excellence Scholarships, even if you don't have a GMAT GRE score. So you do not need to submit any scholarship application to be considered for that. The scholarships are awarded separately from your offer of admission. So no one's admissions letter is going to say you've been awarded a scholarship. The scholarships will be awarded in a separate letter, separate email that comes later in the process. And our scholarship team will reach out to students who've been selected for a Program Excellence Scholarship. And then they'll also notify people about the Dean's Excellence Scholarship as well. If you're coming in for spring 2025, your scholarship application is open. So you can submit that now if you would like. And I want to say that the scholarship application deadline for our spring intake is December 1st. Yep. So you'll want to make sure that you click that apply for grad scholarship and get that all filled out by December 1st if you'd like to be considered for the Dean's Excellence Scholarship. And again, you do not have to take any action if you would like to be considered for the Program Excellence Scholarship, because everyone's considered for that, regardless of if you have a test score. Scholarships do not renew automatically. They do require a minimum enrollment at UTD. Usually it's 5 credit hours. That's 2 classes, basically. If you're a full-time student, that's not a problem. If you're a part-time student, though, you'll want to make sure that you're enrolled in at least 2 classes while you have that scholarship. The JSOM Scholarship Committee considers all of the aspects of your application, so they are definitely competitive. They want to see, they want to award these scholarships to the students at the top of the pack. So they're looking at your academic record, they're looking at your work and school activities, your essays, your letters. If it's a Dean's Excellence Scholarship application, they're looking at that test score as well. So they're definitely competitive. So if you're submitting the scholarship application, do take your time, make sure that everything is polished and you've made sure everything is correct and accurate in that scholarship application. Okay. In addition to our scholarships, we also offer teaching assistantships and on-campus jobs. Teaching assistantships are not something you can have in your first semester. They are something that you can have in your second semester and beyond. So you apply for these once you already get here to JSOM. They do not require a recommendation, so you do not need to contact any faculty or staff in the school, and a high GPA is what is most important. Teaching assistantships are awarded to students based on their academic performance, so we want to give teaching assistantships to students who have earned A grades in classes to help the faculty in those classes when they teach those courses. So a high GPA is what is most important there. If you're awarded a TA-ship, you receive a monthly stipend and the in-state tuition rate if you are an out-of-state or international student. So that usually is about 50% of what the out-of-state tuition cost is. So that's usually one of the bigger cost savings for TAs. You cannot have both a TA-ship and a scholarship at the same time. You can have a scholarship in your first year and then a TA-ship in your second year. That's fine, but they cannot overlap. So it cannot be scholarship and TA-ship in the same semester. For all of our students, both domestic and international, you are allowed to work on campus from your first day of enrollment, and you can search for on-campus part-time student worker positions through Handshake, which is our on-campus UTD jobs posting platform. Handshake is where our companies also submit their internship and full-time job postings for UTD students to access. It's also the platform that our on-campus offices and on-campus units use to post their part-time student worker positions as well. So you get Handshake access usually a few days before the semester begins, and typically those student worker positions are about 5 to 15 hours per week, depending upon the office and what it is that they're looking for. One of my favorite features of the programs are our mentoring programs. So I'm not sure if other schools do this, but here in the supply chain and management science programs, all of our new students are matched with a peer mentor in their program during their first semester. And this is, well, you might have heard the phrase, your network is your net worth, right? We very much believe that to be true, and we want you to get connected with other people in the program because these connections that you make as a grad student in the Jindal School, that's the foundation of your professional network. And so we want you to get connected with students who are in the program. Most of our students in these programs, in both programs, are international students. And we know that if you're an international student, you're coming from halfway around the globe to a brand new home. And we want the Jindal School to feel like home for you. And that's where the mentoring program really comes into play. Not only do you meet a student in the program who is a little bit further along from you, but you're also meeting your fellow new students. So you see there on the photos, the top photo there is from one of our mentoring groups last year. Mike in the blue t-shirt was one of our mentors, and he was with his group of new students. So our new students get to meet somebody who's in their second year, and they also get to meet each other. So it's a very, it's kind of like a social support network within the program, but it's also helping you build your UTD network as well. Both of our programs, both supply chain and management science, are over 15 years old at this point. And that means we have very deep alumni networks. And this is perhaps one of the best assets of our programs is just how many alumni we have. We have alumni all over the country working at literally hundreds of companies. So as you apply for internships and apply for full-time jobs, you can utilize that network of alumni to help you with that. And so, I'll have students come in and say, John, I landed an interview at this company. Do you know anyone who works there? I'll pull up the alumni database and we'll get them connected with an alum who's working there. And we'll say, hey, yeah, reach out to this person, talk to them before you go in for that interview. That alumni network is critical. And we have over in supply chain, it's over 1,300 alumni just from this program alone. That is a tremendous asset for our students coming into the program. So the fact that our programs have been around for a while and have these deep alumni networks has been a tremendous asset for our students, for our current students. Another great aspect of our program is our location right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Like I mentioned earlier, our Economic Development Office is doing that labor market report. DFW is a great place to be. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot of growth happening here. We're a very economically vibrant part of the country. And we're centrally located right here in the middle of the US. So we're usually within a 4-hour flight from a lot of destinations in North America and in Latin America as well. The Dallas area is home to over 20 Fortune 500 companies. Some of these are literally just down the road from our campus. Texas Instruments has a giant facility just down the road from our campus. So we have students who will do internships literally right down the road from school. So that is great, and it allows our students to do internships not just in summer, but also in fall and spring as well. They're able to do internships during the school year and be able to go to school and work at the same time, which is amazing. If you're not aware, Dallas, Fort Worth is the fourth largest metro area in the country. So New York is number one, Los Angeles number two, Chicago number three, and we are number four right here in Dallas. So that top photo you see on the slide, that is our beautiful skyline. And the bottom photo is our campus. Our campus is technically located in the suburb of Richardson. So right across the street from our campus is the city of Dallas, but our campus is located technically in the city of Richardson. So what that means is that you really get the best of both worlds. We're in a very safe suburban part of the metro area. You can walk around on our campus at 2 in the morning in the dark. It is totally fine. You are totally safe. There's a lot of single family homes and families nearby, right by our campus. So it's a very safe part of the metro area to be in. At the same time, you're also a very quick drive away from all of the things that are happening here in Dallas, whether that be economic opportunities to get involved through Dallas area professional associations, or whether it's internships and jobs right here in the Dallas area. Our students get access to those, easy access to those, by being in the Dallas area. So I always say you get the best of both worlds here, right? You get this beautiful, safe suburban campus, and you get access to the nation's fourth largest metro area, right here at UTD. So it's a great place to be, I think, especially if you're a graduate business student. It's the right combination of location for our students. So I've lived in Dallas now just over 2 years. It's a great place to be. Lots to do here, lots of great food, and it's affordable too. This is not a very high cost of living area. We're not having East Coast, West Coast, rents here in Dallas. You can actually afford to live here. So it's I think a great place to be. I do want to briefly shout out our Career Management Center. You've heard me mention them a couple of times. Our CMC is dedicated just to the Jindal School. We have our own Career Center in the Jindal School just for Jindal School students. So they provide a high level of support for our grad students. They coordinate that professional development class. They're doing company information sessions every week. They're doing career development events to help our students professionally every week outside the classroom. So they do a lot, and they are tremendous. They're a great asset for our students here in the school. And we also have a great industry advisory board made up of some of the companies you see there on the left. Those companies have either served on our IAB or are currently on our IAB now. And basically, we're just making sure that our program is being guided by people in industry so that you come out with the skills that you need to be career ready in your role. We also have a great student organization culture here in the Jindal School. Sometimes people think I'm going to go to grad school and just go to class and study and go home. Not if you're a JSOM student. We have over 70 student organizations housed just in our school alone, and they are always doing events. There's always a way to get involved. And this is great for our students because it does provide them with leadership opportunities. And a lot of our student organizations are very professionally oriented. So our Supply Chain Leadership Council, for example, just did a site visit to the Walmart Fulfillment Center down on the south side of Dallas, and they organized that whole event for our current students. So they're always doing different professionally oriented events through our student orgs, and our students love being able to get involved in that way. It really is a great way to have the full experience here at UTD. Okay, so we've made it to the end here. I want to do a quick plug for our student ambassadors because I know you heard a lot of information today. It might have felt like a fire hose of information. Maybe you want to talk to somebody who's been through it before, somebody who's gone through the programs and has graduated. That's where our student ambassadors come into play. We have 3 of them for supply chain and 3 for management science. Pankaj there on the left is one of our supply chain ambassadors, and Agosh on the right is one of our management science ambassadors, both recent alumni. They've been through the program before. You can email them any questions that you may have. They are totally happy to help, and they can answer any questions from the perspective of somebody who's been through it before. Similarly, I am available for you as well. Feel free to reach out at any point in time, scm@utdallas.edu for supply chain and msc@utdallas.edu for management science. Spoiler alert, those 2 email addresses go right to me. So when you email SCM or MSC, you're actually emailing me directly. I'm usually pretty quick on email. If you email me during the week, I'll get back to you, within 24 hours. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions at all along the way. And following us on LinkedIn is a really easy way to stay up to date with what's happening in the programs. So I'm dropping the LinkedIn links for each of the programs here in the chat. Give us a follow on LinkedIn. It's a really easy way to get to know some of our current students, see the things our students are involved in, get to know some of our faculty, some of our alumni, where our students are interning. I like to spotlight all the people of our programs. You can see who is this community here in the Jindal School. Who are the people that you'll be joining when you get here? So following us on LinkedIn is a really easy way to stay up to date with what's happening and get to know us. All right. So I think that is everything that I had to say. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording here. So if you were watching the recording, thank you so much for tuning in, and please reach out if there is anything that I can help with. And for everyone on